Like some comments? I really do. I like some comments. Don't care about you. I like some comments.
Gotham Central, I read a bit about this, and I guess, this is one of them boss idea jobs that's staring everyone in the face until someone does something with it, and everyone goes, oh, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of writing about how your everyday cop in Gotham City makes out with all the ridiculous roster of mega baddies before the bat signal lights up the sky? And as you'd expect, without Bruce Wayne's billions bankrolling all manner of gam gadgetry to augment Batman's fairly extensive martial arts skillage, unfortunately your average Gotham plod, even with the requisite police training and the odd handgun, well, they don't always fare too well really. Getting ice popped and having their ears snapped off by Mr. Freeze for starters, while having to tram on, covering their beats regardless, in a time where, if the sugar really hits the fan, they're all rendered pretty much pointless by the costumed clowns running amok, until the Dark Knight rocks up and sorts it all out at the last second. And the busies down at Gotham Central are understandably conflicted by this, realising that their power is comparatively powerless when the freaks come out. And while some clearly dig bats and all his wonderful toys and whatnot, some don't. And the grudge they bear is palpable and alludes in part to what has always been a sticking point with all manner of established superheroes. If it weren't for them existing in the first place, most likely said supervillains would never have evolved either, which would only leave the sort of 2-bit baddies that most decent forces would at least have a decent crack at, but the conundrum cannot now be contained or cleared up. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg, Ed. Thanks. Grass Kings, then. I guess, much like Duke Bar, where I grew up, this is ostensibly about a self-governing community that's off the grid in many ways and comes off seemingly like it would rather keep itself to itself. We all know how nonconformity goes down as a rule with, quote, normal, unquote, folks though, don't we? We do. So the sheriff next town over's got a new bee in his bonnet about some local lass what's done a runner, and gets to pointing his ignorant fingers at them he don't know enough about to try and understand. I guess in a way he's right to though, as she shows up over that way, but on her own accord, mind. And it soon turns out that she's his missus, and it's him that she's running from. Old sheriff ups the ante by sending over some meathead on a tail, but he never comes back, which as you'd expect only escalates things further, and the old Bill rock up mob-handed like they're looking to wipe the Grass Kingdom off the map altogether. As you'd expect, it's an obvious affront that's not taken lying down, and claret gets spilled on both sides. Without wanting to give too much away, this is as far as we get for Volume 1, which pulls together the first 6 comics. But I took a shine to it, enough to crack on right through its entire run. Was it 15 or 16 issues? I don't have them in front of me. How about that? I guess it is about wanting to look for alternative lifestyles, but It thankfully don't canonise the choices made by the Grass Kings and Co. by painting them whiter than white, but it deals with individual merits and misdemeanours that can arise in any kind of community. It doesn't set out to generalise too much, though stays away from the lazy sorts of discrimination encountered by them who choose a different kind of path. And though it don't really answer all the questions it poses, I guess it's because it can't really. It's about belonging and escape. You can't really have one without the other. Again, Duke Bar years. I guess the true responsibilities are the ones that you can't really leave behind you, even if you manage to walk away. I like this, man. Definitely worth a crack. Yeah, Green Lantern and Green Arrow puts together a well-regarded comic run, and kicking off, Green Lantern breaks up a mugging, and Green Arrow is nonplussed as he thinks the Fat Cat slumlord deserves a good hiding. Green Lantern goes back to level with him, but Fat Cat tries to get him chucked out with his heavies, who both get swiped, but the OA cats aren't into it and pack him off to swat asteroids somewhere. Lantern and Arrow then reconvene to put the screws on Fat Cat, who ain't gonna go down without a scrap, and chucks a live grenade into the mix, which GL flicks right out at window, traps him in a giant rat trap to boot. How metaphorical. And Green Arrow tells the OA heads to come down off their high horse and try to dig what really goes down in today's world. So they head off out, and on their road trip they hit a town called Desolation, where they really make their mark by leading the trodden down miners on a revolt. And next up, they hit a Native American reservation and chow down on good beans and such, before clattering some Hells Angels types looking to dish out some unwarranted aggro. Green Arrow clocks that one of them is riding Black Canary's hog, and when it transpires that they took it from her and left her out cold, this doesn't go down too well. Their quick search turns up Canary, but she's keeping questionable company in the name of Joshua, some wild-eyed hypnotic cult leader or something. And Green Arrow tries to break Joshua's spell over Canary by planting her a smacker, but Joshua's reins are on pretty tight, and he turns the screws on Canary, getting in her head, and tells her to blow Arrow away. Some lumber barons rock up next with more bad news for the tribe, in that they're going to level the forest home, and Green Arrow takes on the appearance of a legendary chief from bygone times to try and rally the troops, while Green Lantern heads off to try and find who really owns the trees. Both Green Gods have had it up to here with one another by now though, and when Green Arrow tells Green Lantern to take off his magic ring so they can sort it out with their fists, it goes down. Next up on their journey, a swerving truck puts them in deep water, and when they're fished out, the saving ship goes boom, and the old timer decides to save Green Lantern instead of fettling the ship cargo, all toxic goo, which gets tossed overboard. The cosmic judges aren't into that at all and ship him off for trial, which takes an odd turn as a well-established planet protocol has been turned downside up. So the old timer gets punished by being made mortal, and they then hit a planet where the real story unfolds, addressing concerns of overpopulation and genetic mods. Humans become monsters, and the monsters show a human side. So as it pans out, when Green Arrow goes round to woo Black Canary two harpies fly out and wreck the gaff. Flipping typical. And when they split, a passing Green Lantern follows them into a discotheque and gets sent into some wacky dimension inhabited by demons. Black Canary follows him in and helps him out. I gotta say, it's the first thing I've ever read that warns of the potential danger of radical feminism via the medium of Medusa. Though that's quite a common theme now, isn't it? Yeah, this collection broke the mould in some respects. Certainly regarding what superheroes are capable of, beyond your everyday caped crusader business, and the sort of complex issues that can't simply be taken down by some ripped dude in tights, who might be useful with his fists and whatnot. We're still reading the ripples of contemporary titles today that stem from this, Charlie getting chucked in, back yon. So I get why some folk feel that it changed everything. But the fact that we're still milling about with same sort of morality tales would suggest that though the opportunities have presented themselves down here to do something about all the injustice and lack of fairness that exists, we've never really got it together enough to put stuff to bed once and for all. And why that is, I don't know. Folk like to talk more than they like to do, I guess. If you've not read this for any reason, do so now. Got me started thinking about a few things as a kid, I've got to say. It's never too late, is it? Yeah, in a lot of ways it's flipping well good, this.
Let me some comments.